Right, it's Monday morning, time for the commute to work. You saw in the last video I got so far with measuring the fuel levels. Well, this is sort of a continuation video of that. I'm going to go at that. I've also realised I've been a bloody idiot, both with the carbs and also with let's turn the lights on. Also with a distributor. So anyway, try and stick with this video. Hopefully I'll get to the end, and at the end, hopefully, fingers crossed, I'll get the engine started. Well, there we are. There's the car under its covers. I'll get that out now and we'll make a start. Change the float level so that there's only 27 down. No, if I change to 27, that will be above the bottom of that port. I don't know. I need to find out a bit more about this. Well, I've had a look on the internet, and there's a guy, something called Sideways Dave, or not Dave, not so Sideways, something like that. I'll put a link to it in the description below. But he gives some quite useful advice on how to check the float level compared to the top of the carb, and also the level of the fuel in the chamber. So down in here, and what I was doing before was wrong. It's supposed to be 27 mil down, but it's supposed to be 27 mil down from the face of here. So I've taken this carb apart. This is a spare carb I've got. It's a slightly different model. I think it's the Mark II one, or whatever they call it. But it's only got these vent holes. You can see those on one side. They're not on both sides of the main jet towers like the other carb. Anyway, I've stuck a bit of wire down them, and they come out down in here. So I thought maybe they were to spill fuel back into this bottom chamber, so it goes back into there. But I don't think that's the case. I think, from reading what this Sideways Dave has said, I think they are probably to let air out, so you make sure that the main jets and the slow running jets are flooded correctly. Anyway, so I've measured down. Well, I've got the calipers. Let's see if I can show you. So I've got the calipers set at 27 on there, and if you put that down there, 27, you can't see that, I don't think. Maybe you can see that, but 27 is definitely, it's about 5 mil below those ports, those vent ports. So I just need to check that on the car and see if that's the case, and whether these ports in this carb are a different height to the ones fitted to the car. Right, I've realised I've made a right old cock up of this. I've set the height of the floats with the springy bit on the needle valve depressed, and what it's supposed to be is when, you can see that, is when the flat bit, this bit here of the float assembly needs to just touch the round bit on that sprung bit. Well, I've got about well, I don't know, 27 there, so these floats are far too low. So let's take these off, and then I'll correct that. Right, well, I've got the top of the carb set up in this machine vise, and what's the principle of it is that you're supposed to have, let's get this, actually this is probably better, the float is just about, it's to just, see that button there, and you can see that down there, that's a sprung little plungery thing in the piston of the needle valve. Well, apparently you should get, so the float is literally just touching the round bit on that piston bit on the there, so it's like that. So let's just try and prop this up a bit more. quite a delicate thing to do. So I've been a bloody idiot really, because I set it up so with this thing pressed to hard up against here. So the gap I've got it set up with is, well, that's 17 across there. So it's just, well, it's nearer 24.5. So what I need to do now is bend these arms to bring this nearer to here, so that it's now 17 mil. Right, so by holding this and pushing on here, I've managed to bend these now so that they are both 17 already. It's a real pain to do. You have to do it a bit at a time. Don't know if you can see there. Let me bring this camera over here a bit more. See, it's such a fine adjustment. So you've got to push the plunger with the needle valve in and then wait until it just touches the button curve, and then oh, that's now 17, and the one over here is 17. That's not so good, that one. Let's just try it. Let's do it this way. Oh, I don't know. This is a real pain in the neck. Yeah, that's 17. That's 17. So that's that one set. I just need to get this back in the car. I'll do the other one and get this back in the car. Well, that's the other one up in the machine vise. Now let's just. I can't see really because the camera's in the way. Right. Well, you can see how far it's off. So that's 6 mil off. So technique is, because this is just quite flimsy aluminium here, so hold it with a pair of pliers and literally just bend it in. I'm a bit shaky. Maybe a bit too much. Well, I have to do this off camera because I can't do it. Hold it and see. I can't really see because I've got the camera in the way. Right, I'll be back later. Right, well, I've drained all the fuel out of the carburetor bowl, so I'm going to now put the tops back on and then check this. Turn the pump over, or turn the engine over, pump some fuel in, stop it, and then remove the tops of the carbs again, and just measure down from here to the surface to see whether I've got this magic 27 millimeters or not. Just going to put a couple of screws in because I need to whip these tops off later on. One of the problems when I do this is that the obviously there'll be pressure in this header pipe, this fuel rail, so I need to relieve the pressure. And then when I take these out, I probably need to tip them backwards so that the ball valve or the needle valve doesn't open. Well, when it opens, there's very little fuel that fills in from what's residual in here. There's not a lot there, so hopefully when I undo that, most of it will come out. Right, let's just tweak those up. Oh. Right, so I want, I know, 10 pumps. Oh, let's set this. 27. Torch. Right, crank this over. That should be enough, hopefully. Petrol coming out of that. Let's get that out of the way. Right, let's do this front one first. Rip this off. Now you're not going to be able to see this, but I'll just check that. That's miles away. Oh, isn't set up 27 for a start. Right, that's low. That's less. Get the camera. You won't be able to see this probably, I don't know. I can't see, it's very bright out here today. I can't. You see that it's not anywhere near. It's about 5mm difference. Maybe I haven't cranked it over enough. I'm going to put it back on and crank it a bit more. Right, let's crank this over a bit more. Let's try that. No, it's still low. Well, I don't know. It's about 5mm low. Let's take the one off the other side and see what that's like. Well, that's about the same. Looking at it by eye. Let's have a look with this. Yeah, it's about 5mm off. Well, that means I need to raise the float, or reduce that gap by another 5mm, take it down to 12, which has got to be miles off, hasn't it? So there's something not right here. Either that guy's advice is not correct. And I think what I'm going to do is just, I'm going to leave it at that and see what happens. In the meantime, I'm going to try and get some Viton tipped needle valves, which are recommended, and then put those in, and then I'll have another go at this at a later date. But they're both about the same. Let's see what they actually are. About 30.5. That one's about 32. Let's just try this again. Yeah, that's about the same. That's about 32. Well, they're below the they're below those ports in there. Let me get the camera and show you. I don't know whether you can see that or not. So the fuel level's below the ports. I think I'll give that a go, because I don't really want to reduce that that gap again. Right, it's all back together again now. Let's see if it'll start. Oh, better. Pull the choke out. Right, well, I think it's not having it, so I'm going to back the distributor off a bit and see if that will help. Well, I went to back the distributor off, and suddenly I had a sort of flash of an epiphany and realised that I've been making a fundamental mistake with this this timing. Now, according to the Wilks book, with the Type D cam that I've got, the total advance should be 26 degrees. And there should be, I think it's 10 static, i.e. on the crankshaft, and then the rest is taken up by the distributor. Now, when I measured this before, I measured the degrees on this distributor, which came up at 14, but on the distributor, well, the distributor runs at half the speed of the crankshaft, so that 14 is actually 28 degrees. So I've got something like 38 degrees of advance taking place on this. This is because it's not a standard distributor for this end. It's been replaced at some time. So I'm going to try and set this up now. So I'll take off all of the static that I put in on the crankshaft, and hopefully then I'll get a total advance of 28, maybe, and see if that makes any difference. Fingers crossed. So the first thing to do is to crank the engine, turn the ignition on, crank the engine over, and then by hand I'll turn the distributor until I get it to hopefully fire. And once it's firing and running, I'll then get the strobe on it and try and set it up on the flywheel, or on the crankshaft. Right, well, the ignition's on. I've backed this off a bit, turned it clockwise because the distributor goes around clockwise, so that should be about right. Let's give that a go and see if it will start. Chokes out. Nothing. Let's try some easy start. Nothing, it's not even trying. Right, better check where we've got a spark. I know you can't see this, but let me just try that. Yeah, that's sparking. That's number 4. That's sparking well. Let's try number 1. Whoops, see daisy. Yeah, big fat spark there as well. So it must be fuel, I think. Right, let's whip the tops off these carbs, see if there's anything down in the emulsion tubes. Yeah, there's petrol down there. I can see the level. Just. Right, taking the chokes off, see if it would go without. Nothing. Well, I've whipped a plug out and it is wet, so whether that's the problem. So I'm going to take all the plugs out and clean them up and have another go. Yeah, that one's wet. I don't know whether you can see that. They are a bit sooty. Yeah, that one's really wet. So petrol's getting through. What I just don't know is why it's not actually trying to fire. I think one of them would try, wouldn't he? Yeah, that's wet as well. Okay, let's dry these out and clean them up. Well, that's it all back together again. And then you go and plug it back in, clean those up. Let's give it another try, see if that makes any difference. I don't think it will, but you never know. Let's go with the distributor, where is it set? Let's fit. Right, made a difference. Put the chokes on. Well, as you heard, it's not running at all well. Number 4 doesn't seem to be firing, so I know it's not quite the right plug. It's a BPR5ES. I'm going to put that in and see whether that, this is the one that's made in France. So let's put that in and see if it makes any difference. Some of the people in the comments last time said they've had problems with, you know, so-called genuine NGK spark plugs, but they're not you know, working as well as they should, or they don't work properly. So it looks like it's quite clean. It's not sooted up, because I checked it was getting a spark before. But number 1's a bit dodgy as well, because that, you know, when I was at the end there, I just pulled that lead off and it didn't make much. It did make a bit of difference, so that's obviously working. It doesn't sound like it's running right, so maybe it's just duff set of plugs. Right, let's give that a try. So it's got to be coil, distributor, plugs, leads, or all of the above. The leads are new, the plugs are new, but maybe they're not right. Well, I swapped number 4 for this hotter plug. It's a 5, an R5. So you can see that's sort of sooted up, so maybe I've got I've still got a fueling issue with the carbs. There's the 7, GK7. Doesn't look so fouled up, but it wasn't firing well, was it, on that back cylinder? So I don't know. I think my root cause of a lot of my problems are this distributor, so I think I'm going to look at getting another one. But maybe I just need to spend a bit more time with the carbs. That's it for today's video. I'm away to go investigate distributors. Hope you enjoyed this, and if you did, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll catch you next time.